Okay. So, even though we just did that, we still have one more door we need to check out. And we're going to do it right now because that's from last time, and I want to get it done. So we're going to do it now. And that involves bringing back Mr. Mueller.
Do it!
Do it! And let's get right back to it, do it. The other star door that we picked up last time, where we need to bring the minstrel and his closest ally. So that is what we're gonna do. The only door left that we have, as far as I know anyways. I'm sure we're gonna find a bunch of doors starting on floor 6. There's probably gonna be a bunch. So we're just gonna get going on this one right now. We're gonna meet the playful minstrel and his closest ally against the beast they seek to overcome. We got the homies. Let's do it. Sounds like we're gonna have to fight though, so we'll see if I'm already ready and equipped. Mueller might be a little under-equipped because I didn't give him a better weapon for a while there, and same with Olivier actually. So if we have to fight something right now, I might want to reload my save and re-equip if I fail first try. If we have to fight something. Anyway, grant the memory and my blessing. Oh, maybe we don't have to fight anything. Never mind. Terra ignored your humor, Frog. Don't worry about it. He usually only acknowledges his own jokes. Anyway, 1 month after the collapse of the Liberarch, the banquet to celebrate the crisis' successful resolution was over, with Estelle and her friends having largely left the capital to go elsewhere. One of them, however, Prince Olivert Rhys Arnor, I don't know, sat rather comfortably in the ambassador's office in Grantel's Erebonian embassy, his work in the country not quite settled. I can't believe that you... I mean, my deepest apologies for not noticing that you were His Highness Prince Olivert sooner. I don't know who's talking. I thought it was going to be Vander. Some other... Oh, it is this fucker. Okay. Oh, I'm not surprised you never realized. I may be a prince, but my mother was a commoner. What point is there in bothering to remember my face? It's not as though I often showed myself in the place or attended high society gatherings. Knowing me certainly isn't going to help you in moving up the ranks, my friend. Oh, this isn't him. I thought this was... Never mind. This is the ambassador. There's no need to be so humble, your highness. Blah, blah, blah. Besides, I'm actually rather grateful to you, Ambassador. You gave me all kinds of useful advice during my stay here at the embassy that I'm sure will be to my benefit in the future. Well-meant words such as act like a man of the Empire for once in your life and stop idling here, go home and try doing some damned work. Your Highness, Your Highness, I think you've tormented him enough for one day. The ambassador behaved in the same way any other sane man would have in his position. If anything, I'd say he has every right to be angry at us for keeping the truth from him for so long. Oh, I suppose you're right. I'll spare him any more teasing for now. I actually wasn't joking about being grateful to you, though. You truly have done admirable work over the past month. I have? Acting as a pipeline with the Empire, checking the safety of Erebonians residing in Liberal, helping the international liner service to resume. And those are only the tip of the iceberg. You've done so much more. You have my deepest thanks as the Prince of the Empire. I am not worthy of such praise, Your Highness. You, however, deserve the utmost for braving the danger you did, flying up to the Liberarch. All of what happened seems to have caused quite a commotion in our homeland, so the people have seemed to be rather relieved now that they know the danger is past. It all takes to encourage that they are able to rest easy. Oh, there's no point in flattering me, Ambassador. I just did what I could, nothing more, nothing less. And I couldn't have done anything alone. All I was able to accomplish was thanks to the help of those around me. I'm fairly removed from the stereotype of Erebonians as stern, strong, and self-sufficient, if I do say so myself. As brutal as it may be to agree, perhaps you're correct. But yet I believe your willingness to be flexible most definitely helped rather than hindered you there. I believe people like you are exactly what the Empire is going to need in the future, regardless of how I feel about His Excellency, the Chancellor's approach. Ambassador. Well, this is a surprise. I was under the impression that you supported the Chancellor. Then again, you are a noble. Does that lead you to oppose his reformist policies, perhaps?
I may be a noble on paper, but I'm only a baron. All in all, I'm generally falling in favor of his reformist policies. Be that as it may, while this may be just a result of being liberal for so long and being influenced by the ways of his people, I do sometimes find myself becoming frightened by his hardline approach. I can't help but wonder exactly which direction he's trying to take our old nation.
Interesting.
Your Highness?
Oh, I was just thinking that I'm quite glad to have taken the chance to engage in such fruitful talk with you just before departing the country. I pray you will continue doing all you can to ensure the peace of Liberal and its surrounding nations while I'm gone. Preferably in cooperation with Ambassador Cochrane.
Yes, let's not forget her, I suppose. Still, it's true that since the non-aggression pact was signed, there has been some progress with regard to the crossbow problem. And given that it was Liberal who proposed said pact, that makes my role in future negotiations very important indeed. I presume that is what you were trying to say.
You're a sharp one, my good man. Excellent. Now I can return to my capital with my mind at ease.
Leave everything to here to me, Your Highness. I will be looking forward to hearing what you achieve back in our homeland.
No more of him, please. I don't want to do that voice anymore. Kreno's voice it's funny, but I don't like doing that one for a long period of time.
This truly is a country like no other. I never thought the day would come when I would hear things like that from a noble of the Empire.
Indeed, he's apparently somewhat less of an obstinate man than I thought he was. Perhaps this nation's very air has the power to genuinely change people.
It seems to have had an effect on you, too. I feel like I'm seeing a lot more smiles from you these days than I used to.
My god, this skipping frame thing is ridiculous right now. I'm getting very annoyed. And every time I talk about it being annoying, it stops happening. Right now, it's very bad. Heh, I'm loath to admit it, but that may well be true. I still find myself wishing that you would learn from Liberalian's dignity and sense of restraint, however. Two qualities you don't particularly possess in any measure. In fact, you have far too much of their opposites.
You say that, but these qualities are the only weapon I have. I don't have much that will allow me to compete against the Chancellor. I need to use what little happens to be tucked in my corner as best I can. Have there been any changes to our plans?
None. We should be able to proceed as arranged. Nah, the frame skippage is not on your guys' end. It is on my end while I'm playing it. It's very annoying. 3 days ago, the Chancellor left the capital on a tour of Eastern Erebonia. Tomorrow you will be returning there aboard the Arsai while he's still out in the east. All those who need to be made aware of our return have been given proper notice. Your arrival in Erebonia will make a real impact, of that I am certain.
What potential obstructions to the plan are there at present?
Nothing major. There have been some movements in Intelligence Division Force Subdivision, but not much. There's a chance that everyone is being cautious because the RSI is involved. But I'd put greater odds on the idea that everyone is just treating this as a pompous performance by you and not taking it seriously. It's also eating my inputs, yes. So I'm pressing the A button and sometimes it's not working. So if you're seeing the dialogue not scroll correctly, it's also eating my A input sometimes. This is true. But anyway.
Well, they'd be right to, it is. I've no choice but to start here, even if this means I have to use Liberal. And if I'm going to put on a show, why not put on the finest one the skies have ever seen?
I suppose I can't argue that. I'm sorry to trouble you at this late hour, Your Highness. Who dat? The message has arrived for you from Heimdallr. What would you have me do? You can actually hear the double inputs? It's pretty annoying, right?
Really? All right, come in.
Pardon me. Hey.
Well, if it isn't Lecter.
I was gonna say, this is that Lecter kid. What voice did I give him? I don't even remember now. Was it just a normal voice? Did I give him the cool guy voice? I don't remember. It's like they coded Grancel with the Forza Horizon 4 engine and the rest of the game with Solitaire engine. Dude, you're right, Rio. Anything that has to do with Grancel is apparently ridiculous. Because we're in Grand Cell right now, and every time I'm in Grand Cell, this is where all of my frame issues happen. It doesn't matter what kind of scene. If it's in Grand Cell, it runs like garbage. This is 100% true. But anyway. What was I going to say? Oh, what voice did I give Lecter earlier? I don't really remember. I don't. I suppose it doesn't really matter. But anyway.
I was wondering where you'd been. I haven't seen you all day.
I've been exceptionally busy with work since this morning, I'm afraid. Yeah, my graphics card definitely does not like Grand Cell, for sure. I'd hoped to be able to come and see you earlier, since you will be leaving tomorrow. I'm terribly sorry for not being able to. I had problems with every single part of Grand Cell. When I was just walking around the castle, or not even the castle, when I was walking around the town, I was having graphical issues, Rio. I would say the worst issues I've had have been when I'm in the city of Grand Cell. Like, literally. I've had issues in other places, but Grand Cell has been the worst. And the funny thing is, this is a scene where nothing's moving. The camera's not even moving. We're just sitting inside of a room, and I'm having frame skip issues, which is so fucking strange. But anyway.
Oh, never mind that. If that work of yours is done now, we three could always enjoy some sensual quality time together for the remainder of the night. Yes?
So, what was the message from the capital, Secretary? They've acknowledged receipt of His Highness's message. However, they didn't anticipate that you may be able to arrive all the way from Grand Cell in less than half a day. As such, they're currently in a minor panic trying to ensure everything's ready for the ceremony tomorrow. That doesn't come as a surprise. There's nothing like the R-side when it comes to speed at home.
How cool you both are for so deftly ignoring my proposal. Although it sounds as though the stage will be set in time, now I need to decide on an outfit that will leave everyone's jaws on the floor to sweeten my arrival. Perhaps a glistening coat and white loincloth will do the trick.
The loincloth, though. That'd make a grand impact, all right. I almost wish I could go along and see it myself. Please don't encourage him.
You show remarkable promise for someone so young. What do you say to coming back on the R-side with me? I'd welcome your company. Your work here in Liberal is just about done as it is, isn't it?
Your offer is certainly tempting, but I'm afraid I have another job to take care of soon. The thought is appreciated, of course.
Really? Well, that is a shame. Good luck with that next job of yours.
Thank you. Well, if you'll excuse me. Gotta love those frame drops there. Super cool, super duper cool, super duper cool. Yeah, ooh. So, that is Second Secretary Lecter Arundel. Is it safe to assume he's one of the Chancellors?
Almost definitely, yes. He came through Hawken Gate on foot and took up his new position at the embassy a month ago. And right around the same time we headed to Liberock, aboard the R-side at that. There's no way that could possibly be coincidence.
No, it couldn't. The most likely possibility seems to be that he's part of the intelligence division. Are you sure not doing anything regarding him all this time was a good idea?
Oh, absolutely. We needed some way to find out what the Chancellor was up to, after all. We'll probably get some kind of reaction from the Chancellor through his reports at some point. Probably in about 2 weeks when the Chancellor's tour has finished.
You'd planned that far ahead all along, had you? Well, in that case, I'll be sure that we're ready.
I'll be counting on you, love. Oh.
Something the matter?
Not really. It's just that the moon has come out. And what a beautiful full moon it is. If only it was in faster than 1 frame per second.
Oh wait, this scene's perfectly fine. It's strange to think that this will be the last time we'll see the moon from here. Truth be told, I'm gonna miss it.
Well, well, it looks like putting a smile on your face a little more often isn't the only thing Liberal's done for you. It's opened up your eyes to life's natural beauty as well. But in all seriousness, we'll just have to do all we can to be able to come back and see it again one day, while we're both still alive.
Ha, indeed. Apparently furniture is the enemy? Apparently, man. Alright, the next morning. I was going to say, that's not the end of that already. That was too short. Oh boy, more voices. Woot.
Your Majesty, Your Highness, I humbly thank you both for your generous hospitality during my stay in your fine kingdom. You were even more gracious enough to humor my brazen request of escorting me back to Heimdall aboard the Arsai. This debt I owe you will be repaid many times over in the future. Rest assured of that.
Oh, you needn't think of this as anything we went out of our way for. Escorting an honored state guest back home is a matter of course, particularly a guest to whom we owe a great debt of gratitude.
If you ever have the opportunity, please do come back to Liberal again in the future. I imagine Estelle and Joshua will be back by then too, so we'll all be able to give you a nice warm welcome.
Ha! I am already excited for my next visit. Have they left the country yet, by the way?
They're busy getting ready to leave over in Roland at the moment, I believe. I'm planning to see them off when the time comes.
I see. Incidentally, while the ruins of Hamel are currently sealed off, I'll do what I can on my end to ensure they are allowed inside. Could I trouble you to pass that along to them?
Certainly. Thank you very much, Your Highness.
Oh, think nothing of it. It's the least I can do after all they've done for me. I owe you a great deal, too, Cassius. If not for your assistance, stopping that armored division from crossing into Liberal wouldn't have been as simple as it was.
Ha! I could say the same to you. Still, as I'm sure you're aware, that outcome will have been well within the realm of possibility for the Chancellor. I doubt he was even surprised by the incident.
Really?
Most likely not. Arabonia had nothing at all to gain from using that situation to occupy Liberal. Certainly not to the extent that it would be worth going out of your way to develop inefficient steam tanks. The only reason I can see for him doing what he did
was as a show of power to surrounding nations. A statement that even without orbital power, Erebonia's army could still act. I indeed suspect that that was his true aim all along.
Goodness.
So you did notice. The orbital shutdown phenomenon was a complete unknown to the rest of the continent. Perhaps it might never occur again, but there's always a chance that it might, whether it's here or somewhere else entirely.
I hear the Empire only built a relatively small number of those tanks as well, in all, too. Certainly not enough to launch a full-scale invasion. By the sounds of it, they were just put together in Rhineford's factories using parts intended for standard orbital tanks.
But as it stands, the know-how to put together tanks like that only exists in the Empire. And in these unpredictable times, no other nation has the time or resources to try and develop extremely inefficient steam-powered weaponry. In a sense, because of what just happened, the Imperial Army's effect as a deterrent is even greater than ever. He's using war as a diplomatic tool, and very effectively at that.
None of this had even occurred to me. I have a long way to go before I'm fit to be a ruler of this country.
Don't beat yourself up too much about it. He's no ordinary foe to even the most hardened veterans. The Chancellor always seems to be thinking several steps ahead of the rest of the world, and it's impressive no matter what we may think of his actual ideas. I'm quite the reckless fool to be trying to challenge him, if I do say so myself.
Don't be silly, Your Highness.
How can you say that with a smile on your face is utterly beyond me? You should focus on building yourself a strong foothold to begin with. I do hope you'll be careful. No matter what may occur, be sure not to lose sight of exactly where you stand.
Of course, Your Majesty. If I were to go and bring some shame upon myself, now, I'd be wasting all the effort involved in escorting me back home. I'll be sure to take what you have said to heart.
Excuse me, Your Majesty. Who that is? Oh, it's the old lady.
Hilda?
Whatever is the matter? It's not often I see you so flustered. My apologies, Your Majesty. It's just that a guest for you arrived all of a sudden at the castle. Ordinarily, I would not have rushed in while you were meeting with the others, but the visitor is so irregular that I thought you should know at once. Irregular? How so?
It sounds like it's about time I take my leave, then.
Actually, the visitor said he would like to greet you as well, and not just Your Majesty.
What? Hilda, just who is this visitor?
Well, he introduced himself as Chancellor Gileath Osborne of the Erebonian Empire.
What? The fucking Chancellor's here? Oh boy. Chancellor Osborne. I don't think we've met this guy yet, right? This is a new person for us to meet. I have no idea what to do with his voice because he's new. I have no personality traits to go with. I've already exhausted my entire library of voices in just playing this fucking game. Not the entire library of my voices, but the ones I'm willing to do when I'm doing this many voices. What do I even do with this guy? Deep and grovelly? Do an Ozzy Osbourne? I can't do an Ozzy Osbourne. She'd be like, Sharon, just deep and gravelly, you say? So like,
Oh, it's an honor to be granted a personal audience. I am Gileath Osborne, representative of the Imperial Government. My apologies for the abrupt intrusion.
Oh, you are Chancellor Osborne.
And it's a pleasure to see you again as well, Your Highness. It's been a year since we last met, has it not? I hope these passing months have seen you well.
Yes, a year sounds about right. Still, while I hope you'll forgive me for asking, just what did prompt someone of your stature to appear at the castle without warning? I'd very much like to hear your side of the story.
My apologies, Your Highness. You see, these past few days, I've been touring Eastern Erebonia on routine inspections. It's been going very smoothly, more so than I had initially anticipated. I had enough free time in my schedule to pay a cordial visit.
Oh my, is that so?
Naturally, I would have preferred to come here while the crisis was still unfolding like you yourself did, Your Highness. Unfortunately, the confusion in southern Erebonia was simply too pressing a matter, and I had no choice but to deal with that first. This was the first that presented itself to come here. First chance that presented itself to come here and meet directly with Her Majesty, so I acted with the utmost expediency. I hope you'll forgive my lack of proper decorum in failing to give advance notice of my arrival.
That does make sense at least. Regardless, please don't concern yourself with me. No doubt you wish to offer your greetings to Her Majesty.
My thanks, Your Highness. Well then, allow me to extend my most heartfelt greetings to both of you, Queen Alicia and Princess Claudia. It's abundantly clear that the crisis that unfolded here has been quite the ordeal for yourselves and for your nation's people. You have my deepest sympathies for the hardships you have endured, as well as my commendation for bringing the situation under control.
I thank you for your kind words, Your Highness. Your Excellency, rather.
If anything, we should be apologizing to you for the fact that the southern side of your nation was caught up in what should have been our problem. We should be the ones going to you, rather than having you trouble yourself to come all the way to Liberal. I beg you to accept our apologies together with my deepest thanks for coming here today.
I would never have asked for your apologies. I've heard what happened as work of the shadowy organization stirring up trouble within your borders.
I sound like the Mark Zuckerberg on South Park.
Your skills are not anywhere close to my style.
The only thing you need to know about him is that it's said in this store, and what Olivier says when he reveals himself as the prince in Estate Hawking Gate. Osborne is apparently in cahoots with Ouroboros and controls the Empire with an iron fist. I mean, yeah, we know that part. The Chancellor is definitely behind a lot of things and in charge of a lot of things. But anyway, as we continue.
While I meant well by sending a military force to aid you, I wouldn't have done something so careless had I known the truth of the matter. My actions were rash, foolish even, and I was rightfully reprimanded by His Royal Majesty for them.
Oh my.
Fortunately, His Highness the Prince was able to act with all due haste to put right my misstep before even greater harm was done. I owe you a great debt of gratitude for that, Your Highness. And congratulations besides for your part in the bringing an end to the crisis.
Oh, I did nothing out of the ordinary. I had a lot of help from Her Majesty, Her Highness, and Brigadier General Bright here, too.
Bright, you say?
It's a pleasure to meet you, Your Excellency. I am Cassius Bright, a Brigadier General in the Liberal Royal Army.
Haha, the pleasure is all mine, I assure you. Your name is rather well known, even in the Empire.
Not much is known. Let me try that again. Not as much as yours is known here in Liberal, I would imagine. It's an honor to be able to speak with you in person. It's certainly a surprise to be able to, though. Coming here on a whim can't have been easy for a man as busy as yourself. It sounds as though I may have underestimated just how capable you truly are.
Not at all. I was greatly impressed to see the Royal Army's effectiveness in dealing with the tumult here. Your forces have proven powerful yet flexible, capable of dealing with emergencies ably and decisively. I might go so far as to say it embodies an ideal that the Imperial Army, with its swollen ranks, could never hope to realize.
You flatter us, Your Excellency. For your part, I hear you were responsible for the establishment of the Imperial Army's famed intelligence division. Our army is in desperate need of a new one of its own, so I find myself quite envious.
Haha, it almost sounds as though the two of us each want what the other has.
Haha, so it does. May I ask Your Excellency, what will you be doing now? For my part, I am intending to leave Liberal today, so I'm afraid I won't be around much longer.
Yes, so I've been told. I believe you're intending to make your grand arrival in Heimdallr, above the famous Arside.
I'm impressed you're already aware.
I almost wish I could return to Erebonia on board it alongside you, but alas, I'm afraid I have other business demanding my attention after I'm finished here. I'll be leaving Liberal separately this afternoon.
That is a shame. I would have very much liked to invite you to this evening's banquet.
Please, you need not go to such troubles on my account. I feel as though I've put you out enough showing up unannounced as I did, to say nothing of dining with such esteemed company. Still, I do have some time before the airship I'll be leaving on is due to depart. That being the case, might I ask for a little of your time, Your Highness? I have a few things I'd like to discuss with you, personally.
Very well. I have some matters I would actually like to discuss personally with you as well.
What a fortuitous coincidence.
Allow me to have a room arranged for the two of you to have your discussion, then. Hilda, if you would.
Certainly, Your Majesty.
Oh boy, I get to keep doing the Chancellor's voice. This voice is destroying my throat, by the way. I picked a terrible voice to do for this many words.
Your style is not as close to mine. Ah. It's obvious that Her Majesty is quite the tea fancier, if this blend is anything to go by. The fragrance, the temperature, the taste, it'd be hard-pressed to find fault with any of it. I've always been more of a coffee man myself, but I have no doubt that I'd be content with a cup of this at my desk each morning.
As much as I agree with you, I don't believe we're here to talk about beverages. So, shall we get right to the point? What did you want to discuss with me?
I see your sojourn in Liberal has proven most fruitful.
Pardon?
When we last spoke, you struck me as a bright, flexible young man, and no doubt you still are, but now I see in you a resilient inner strength girding those aspects. I'm sure His Majesty will be most delighted with your personal development.
Huh. Meanwhile, I see you're the same fearless man I've always known you to be. More so, even. That crushing aura about you seems to have only grown with time. It's as if you feed on the resentment of those who live in the territories you annex.
Haha, such harsh words, Your Highness. Personally, I prefer the term political unification. Annex can carry such negative connotations, you know. Since the end of the 100 Days War, our army hasn't committed a single act of aggression. All our unifications have been entirely peaceful.
Oh, you're quite right about that. On the surface.
Oh?
It's amazing how similar the annexation process is every single time it happens. It starts with a small nation or independent state with an array of problems beyond repair. Those problems start to worsen, after which Jaegers and other dangerous elements enter, plunging public order to an all-time low. Desperate for a solution, the local government requests the help of the Imperial Army. Before you know it, they're part of the Empire.
Well, it's not as though I can deny what you're saying. Each instant does share certain commonalities. Still, it's to be expected as an inevitable consequence of the age of unchecked growth and progress in which we live in. The Imperial Army is simply acting in the Empire's best interests, helping to stabilize our neighbors for the good of the Empire.
And it's understandable that they would. I do find myself rather curious why intelligence division members are going to such nations with such peculiar frequency. Well, before the problems I described worsen, no less.
Haha, I won't press as to where you came by such information, as curious as I am. But I will say this, at its most basic level, these actions are about risk management. It's because we've been acting to minimize such risk beforehand that the army has been able to successfully quell each problem in turn.
With the small price of earning the disdain of the people in those nations and an increased risk of terrorism in exchange. To tell you the truth, I'm rather astounded that you had the courage to come here to Liberal of all on your own to begin with. After all, you've made yourself the biggest target for terrorists in all of Erebonia.
Haha, your concern is touching, Your Highness. I would ask that you not trouble yourself with my safety. I employ some very skilled subordinates tasked primarily with eliminating the risk of terrorist attacks against me.
Really now? That Lecter is one of those, I presume?
Haha, a rather peculiar fellow, isn't he? But a very useful one all the same. Working out the scheduling for this trip and taking all the necessary precautions to ward off terrorist threats were both his doing. And thanks to his commendable efforts, I can depart for Crossbell free from worries as soon as I finish my business here.
Crossbell?
Are you surprised? I'll be participating in a top-secret discussion with the representative of the Crossbell government. Recently, a large amount of funding has been flowing into the country through Republican channels, putting our allies on the defensive. I'd always meant to visit at some point, and this seemed the perfect opportunity.
Are you out of your mind? Crossbell is full of enemies and different factions at each other's throats. I hear it's now even a hotbed for terrorists and criminal organizations because of its position as a buffer state. Does that really sound like a place the Erebonian Chancellor should even be going even on an unofficial visit?
I'm surprised to hear that you advocating caution in the face of potential danger, Your Highness. After all, it was you who flew onto an ancient city at great risk to your own safety and returned unharmed after surveying it. Compared to such rousing risk-taking, my visit to Crossbell will be child's play. As I'm sure you're aware, you're regarded as something of a hero in Erebonia now. To see a hero make a grand return befitting his newly minted legend, and aboard the famous Arsai no less. Naturally, our hero has also taken the time to ensure that every well-known newspaper and magazine are aware of his homecoming too. Oh, I have no doubts that your triumphant arrival will be every bit as glorious as it has played out in your imaginings, Your Highness. Haha, do be sure to capitalize on this chance as best you can to build yourself a firm foothold. I expect great things from you, after all.
So, everyone's been informed ahead of time that Olivier's heading back home, I guess? Fucking Lecter. Oh, he's gonna recognize the bird. Scree, scree. Hey, buddy. You haven't changed a bit, huh? Scree, 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 scree. Really? Sounds like a ton's happened, huh? But it's nice to see you and your master doing all right. Scree, scree, scree. Lecter? Oh, Chloe's gonna find him too? Nice. Y'all have any good pickup lines? FML, I don't have any off the top of my head, but I could probably think of a few if you give me some time. Anybody else in the chat have some good pickup lines for FML? Not that he's ever going to use them properly to actually make them work. But anyway. Well, good day to you, Your Highness.
I pray I am not causing any trouble by taking a tour of the castle like this. The view from this terrace certainly is beautiful, isn't it?
What happened to you, Lecter? How did you end up working for Chancellor Osborne?
I'm sorry? I haven't the faintest idea what you mean. Are you perchance mistaking me for someone else?
Your name is Lecter Arundel. You were the student council president at Genus Royal Academy, which you attended before leaving suddenly 2 years ago. So no, I am not mistaking you for someone else.
But that's where you're wrong, because my name is actually Lech Terrarundo? Oh, Lech? I don't know if that's Lech or Lech. I'm going to call him Lech. Lech Terrarundo. I can certainly see how our names could become mixed up, however. They are scarily close. Still, now you know. Please just call me Lech, or Lech. What's a nice girl like you talking to a dude like me? Wow. Start doing instead of talking.
Don't try and joke around with me, Lecter. Do you have any idea how worried all of us were when you just disappeared without a word? You submitted your notice to leave the academy, and then we were never seen again. Even the otherwise calm Leo let out a cry of anger when he found out. And all Lucy could do was give a sad smile and say, "This is just like him," the whole time with tears in her eyes. Jill and Hans were heartbroken, and so was I. Yet after all that, after all this time, you finally show yourself, knowing full well that I'm here, and this is how you act, but by pretending you're someone else? Lecter!
Sorry, no need for the scary glare. You're still taking things way too seriously. Looks like it'll be take more than stepping up as Crown Princess to change that part of you.
Oh.
But you know, seeing you makes me feel kind of relieved. I always figured if someone like you became Crown Princess, you'd have virtually no freedom to do anything other than work. But from all that reached my ears, it sounds like you're actually doing all right for yourself. And you even made some great new friends after I left the academy, didn't you? Nice.
I sure did. Nonetheless, it's thanks to you that I was able to change it all. You were the one who gave me the first push in the right direction. I never got the chance to thank you properly after you left. But all this time, I've always been grateful to you.
Well, consider me honored. Do I get a kiss in return?
You do not. I may feel respect towards you, but nothing romantic.
That's a bummer. There was me, all taken in on it by how pretty you'd become, wondering if this could be the start of something downright magical. And what happens instead? My dreams of romance and sweet smooches are crushed to nothing before they can even begin.
I know you don't mean a word of that, you know. You're looking very sharp yourself, though. It's surprising to see. Every time I've seen you before today, it was in that heavily frayed uniform worn in the most sloppy way imaginable.
I think you'll find I was merely making a fashion statement. That wasn't laziness or slobbishness. Every part of it was carefully calculated and considered to have maximum effect.
The scary thing is, I actually believe you. You always seemed as if you cared for nothing but having fun and causing trouble, yet when it came down to it, you were wise beyond your years. And I've finally seen part of the reason behind that today. I'll ask you again, Lecter. How did you end up working for Chancellor Osborne like this? Just what happened to you between you submitting your notice to leave the academy and now?
You don't want to know, but I want to know. Tell me what I want to know.
Do you now? I have to admit I never imagined that would be the case. On the contrary, I was expecting you to tell me to back off.
Oh, adios, forbid. What reason would I have to suggest such a thing? After all, at the end of the day, our positions are functionally the same.
I'm not sure I understand.
Do you not think so? Personally, I find it difficult to believe that you would not harbor some hatred toward Erebonia as it is today. A grand empire clinging to the glories of a bygone era, ruled by the nobility and shackled by meaningless conventions. Am I wrong? People call me the Blood and Iron Chancellor, as though I hold the whole of Erebonia in the palm of my hand. But in reality, my position is far more tenuous. I have supporters and allies in the capital, certainly, but outside its walls, the nobility holds far more sway than any of them. And while it is true, I hold a great amount of power in the form of the Imperial Army, even then, I only truly command about 70% of it. The remainder is loyal to the nobility, who also maintain their own private armies. With those factored in, my advantage shrinks substantially. So you see, I'm still very much in the midst of a battle to truly exert control.
Which is why you're building railways all over the country to expand your area of influence, and you've been annexing new territory to that same end.
As I've long thought, you clearly understand me better than anyone else. That is why I'll say this once again. Work with me, Your Highness. With your support, our nation will be able to bring about real reform faster than ever. The noble faction, bloated with its centuries of decadence, can be stopped before they even have the chance to unify against us. Surely that's what you desire more than anything.
Let me just ask a simple question, Chancellor. What connection do you have with the Ouroboros?
I'm afraid I'm not quite sure what you're asking. I will say this, however. I'm a firm believer in using every resource at my disposal in the name of achieving reform. That's the way I believe in handling politics.
I see. Well, it certainly does seem as though we would see eye to eye in many ways, and that's all the more reason why I'm afraid I must refuse your offer.
Is that so?
Yes, I find it difficult to like the rotten, noble faction that exists in the Empire. Or perhaps you're right that hate is the more appropriate word. But my feelings of fear towards your methods are far greater than my feelings of hatred towards the nobles. What you seem to be doing is trying to compel Erebonians with a delusive utopia to whip them into an enthusiastic frenzy. No doubt by successfully convincing the people, the old god will fall into the metaphorical firestorm created. And yet by then, the gears will have already begun turning. There will be no satisfying a roused populace with a thirst for revolution. The storm will just keep growing larger and more ravenous, engulfing anything and everything in its wake. You know this, don't you, Chancellor?
But of course. After all, that's what I intend to happen. It's the first stage of my reforms. I'd be more than happy to share further details with you if you were to decide to work with me, Your Highness. In the meantime, I wish you well in strengthening your foothold back in the Empire. Of course, if that's your intention, you'll find it a necessity to work with those nobles you just so despise.
You truly do see through everything, don't you?
Well, that sounds like the noon bell. The airship should be arriving shortly. Which means it's time for me to take my leave, I'm afraid. I look forward to seeing you again in the capital in 2 weeks' time.
Painting him like a Hitler or a Stalin right now? Kinda. Spreading that influence.
I take it the discussion is over then. What's wrong? You look awfully tired.
Oh, nothing. I'm just feeling awed anew at what a monster I decided to pick a fight with.
Okay. He's a monster! Oopsie, I think it's probably about time for the airship to arrive. I'm gonna have to stop you there and get going.
What?
See you. Next time I see you, I'll bring you some Erebonian salami as a souvenir, okay? Scream!
Wait, are you planning to just disappear without telling me anything a second time?
Oh, I got an important question for you. Did you fall in love with someone while I was away?
Huh?
Hit the nail on the head, huh? Ah, that's so cute. First love, right? How's that feel? Heart all aflutter one minute, end of the world the next?
Don't you dare start teasing me. But you're right, though. I did. He rejected me in this very spot not that long ago.
Wait, you're joking, right? There's a coincidence I didn't see coming.
I'm not so sure about that. It feels like you know everything sometimes.
I'm not some kind of all-knowing, all-seeing divinity. That's what makes the world so interesting to me. Head pats.
Oh?
I'm happy for you, Chloe. Knowing the pain of lost love is what makes a girl blossom, in my humble opinion. Do you feel like the whole experience let you get a step closer to the person you want to be?
Well, what about you? Do you feel you're getting closer to becoming the person that you want to be? By being at the Chancellor's side?
Kinda hard to do that when I don't have a person I want to be to begin with. I'm just sticking with him because it feels like it'll be fun. That's all. I've been doing it since before I joined the academy, in fact.
You have?
Dun dun dun. That prince is proving surprisingly capable, but he still isn't a match for the Chancellor. Tell him to watch his back, alright? So that he doesn't get swallowed up by that monster after he gets tired of dancing.
Goodbye, Lecter.
Just that last little line. I've been doing it since before the academy. Dun dun dun. Alright. Can we fucking end this part? Hopefully it's soon. I mean, shit, we're getting scenes that don't even involve the people we did this for. It was supposed to be Olivier and fucking Mueller, and here we are in an airship with everybody else. What the hell? Everybody else meaning other people, not them. Anyway,
Thank you all for waiting. The Calabria... Calabria? I don't know. The Calabrian international airliner bound for the Principality of Remiferia will be departing momentarily. Please mind your footing when boarding.
do 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 do. Wow, motherfucker bowed as he left. Why is his airship leaving so important? Are we going to see Olivier and Mueller right now? Yeah, we are. Okay. So that was the Blood and Iron Chancellor.
I can't believe he actually went out of his way to use a civilian airship when he probably has a private one of his own. I'd heard rumors about how ordinary he is, how out of the ordinary he is, but he lives up to all of them.
Haha, he keeps me on my toes, to put it playfully enough. Him aside, thanks for coming all this way to see me off, Shira.
I was lucky I just have happened to have business here at the right time. It feels like this is going to be the last chance we get to see one another for a while, after all.
Rather unfortunate, as my dream is, and always was, to live away my days in the lap of luxury, surrounded by women as beautiful as you.
Well, good luck with that. Changing the subject, though. Who was the young man at the Chancellor's side? He didn't strike me as your ordinary guy.
Oh, you could tell?
But of course, I'd say I'm used to running into people who are out of the ordinary at this point. We've sure fought enough of them.
His name's Lecter Arundel. He's a secretary who was sent here by the Imperial government. Apparently he was the one who planned out all the details of the Chancellor's visit to Liberal. I can't pretend to know much regarding his background, but he's exceptionally skilled at what he does.
Actually, I know a little.
Oh?
What?
Oh?
Is that true?
Yes.
Claudia explained that Lecter once attended the same academy as her and had served as a student council president. She also mentioned that his sudden disappearance after the academy festival 2 years ago. Unbelievable!
Then,
Someone connected to the Chancellor had visited Liberal first. Then he's very likely to have had his own veritable information network established here long before I even came up with the idea. I think it's safe for us to assume that's the case. Which also means that it's safe to assume he knows every detail about all that's happened here since. From the coup d'etat to the crisis regarding the Oriole. All of it.
this man gets more unbelievable by the minute. He actually gave me a message to pass on to you earlier, too. Watch your back so you don't get swallowed up by that monster when you get tired of dancing.
He sure knows how to sting where it hurts, doesn't he? Huh. I feel like I can see a whole new world of pleasure opening up before my eyes. He should know better. Getting outdone at every turn like this is really not my style.
What do you mean?
Captain Schwartz, I have a little favor I'd like to ask for when you were in the air.
A little favor. A A little flavor. We're gonna go somewhere that's not Erebonia, probably. Anyway, you think you're gonna play some Okami tonight, FML? Do it. You gotta finish that game, man. It's been a while. Ha! I'm rather impressed with how Prince Olivert has come along. No matter how he chooses to act from here on, he will have his uses, to be certain. You would say that, given that you think of everyone as your pawns. There's me, the prince, that society. Indeed, I am much the same. We are but pawns on the vast game board that is the Empire, where a thrill like no other will take place. But it's because you, too, wish to see how that game plays out that you've chosen to stand with me, is it not? Well, hey, what can I say? Just don't forget that this piece right here might not be loyal forever. And such a betrayal would be perfectly fine by me. Or did you honestly think I'd never consider the possibility it may happen? Just thought I'd come out and say it. How are the other Ironbloods doing, by the way? They're all doing very well, by the sound of it. At the rate things are going, there's a chance all of the prince's efforts will be for naught. Perhaps I ought to hold back on him a little. You sure don't pull any punches, do you? You know something? I wouldn't write him off so easily if I were you in your shoes. What? Literally on your ass, bitch. This is some pretty sick music, I agree. Sword Sage. It's good stuff. What? Huh. Have some flowers, bitch! These look like rose petals?
If you look out the windows on the right-hand side of the airship, you will be able to see the famous high-speed cruiser, the Arsai. We've been informed that it is on its way to the Imperial capital with Prince Olivert of the Erebonian Empire on board, but he has also given us a message to relay all of the passengers on board today. I give thanks to Idios for the good fortune to have been able to meet you again. May your journey be filled with beautiful roses and her blessings. And of course, may your journey to your homes be a safe and pleasant one. That marks the end of his message.
Olivier thinking he's all badass. He's like, let me just go send this boy a message real quick and then we'll go, alright? See you. Fucking Olivier. I never thought there was a bigger dumbass in this world than me. And yet here we are. Very well, debaucherous prince. I look forward to seeing what you can do. Show me how long you can hold out against me. Oh boy, it's going to be a grand old time. Is that the end? Finally. Side story, Return to the Empire. Finito! And we got a Divine Eye and 7K Mira. Sweet.